And good morning, everybody. Today's Monday. The date is October 12th. This is a banking holiday. It's Columbus Day in the United States, Thanksgiving in Canada. So all the U.S. and Canadian markets should probably not going to have a whole lot of volatility. Any volatility that you see today is probably going to be generated through the Japanese, the Australian, and New Zealand markets. Swiss hasn't been all that volatile lately, although we did get an alert with the Swiss earlier this morning. But anyway, we're going to play it somewhat safe today, and we'll keep on charting, and we'll keep on doing what we do just to keep the mechanics fresh in our minds of where we're looking for entries and exits and targets. And eventually this market's going to turn around to where everything's going to be working like it's supposed to, but it still works. It just hasn't given us the volatility lately to hit our targets and reverses on us. And so things may start changing here as time goes on. Anyway, having said that, trading the foreign exchange on margin carries a high level of risk and may not be suitable for all investors. The high degree of leverage can work against you as well as for you. Before deciding to invest in foreign exchange, you should carefully consider your investment objectives, level of experience, and risk appetite. The possibility exists that you could sustain a loss of some or all of your initial investment, and therefore you should not invest money that you cannot afford to lose. You should be aware of the risks associated with the foreign exchange trading and seek advice from an independent financial advisor if you have any doubts. And like I said, this is Monday, October 12th, and we're going to be going until about 9:30 this morning. We may be able to get a few minutes later. This is a live trading room. It is for educational purposes only. No financial advice or recommendations will be provided. Any trade taken during this live session is not a recommendation or a suggestion that you should also do the same. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Do not trade money that you cannot afford to lose. And before trading live, always operate with a written trade plan that identifies the rules for entry, exit targets, and risk management. There. So having said that, let's go over to the charts, and we shall get started.
All right, I didn't want to interrupt you. I'm already in the trade.
Yeah,
So as it broke out,
Yep, I can see that where it's nice. This is actually nice. I'll say for being a banking holiday, for to do nicely on the Japan. It's about right. It would right now. It's right at where my target was, but I never got into it up here. This is on
yeah.
the first alert. I had it in my zone. Anyway, let's take this back to 4 o'clock this morning. I had an alert at 4 o'clock. It was an ascending wedge. I brought my A down here. Now, one thing I saw when we got the alert, this is really the area that I was really looking in, but we never got the alert till it broke out of this area. So basically what I did was I drew the wedge, had my B somewhat, this was really the box I was kind of looking at right in here. I put my A down here, C, had the B all the way up, pretty much up in this area. It was ascending, to bring the D down. The D was right here. This is the high where we tuck it in. I did bring it down a little bit more just so I can get this triangle going in the right direction. And I'm not sure where, this was right about in there. They did get the breakout. There's this little zone right here. It did break through that, came up, but more importantly, what I saw is on the higher time frame, as we've been doing lately, we've been drawing the major trends. Taking a 15-minute chart, or even sometimes you go to a 30 or a higher target, but we find out where the major trend is. And you can see where we had the trends actually start here. So this is my anchor. Here's my first hit. Somewhere over in here is going to be the third hit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just bring this down to one of my alert lines here, and just bring it down to where this is just touching the top of that. So here's my anchor, here's my hit, and somewhere along this way should be my third hit. Right now we don't have the third hit of this trend line. You may possibly be able to catch it over here. I still don't like that. So I'm going to use this pivot high. Here's a hit. I'm still waiting for the third hit, but over here at the bottom I have an anchor, a hit, and I have my third hit before we got the alert. So this bottom line is validated. So when we got this alert and it broke out the top, it still respected the 62. It still respected the upper trend line. And that's one reason why after we got the alert, I didn't want to take it long on this breakout of this wedge down here, because we had the 62 and the upper trend line sitting right here. And so that's why when we got especially when with the first alert, let me back it up here. I'll go on my 5-minute chart. And so let me just take this one off here right now. This is not what I was looking at originally, although this trade is well underway here. So when we had this failed, it came back into the wedge. I'm going to bring this back up. This is a drop. Here's a nice little basing and a nice strong drop again. So there were some buyers and sellers were at equilibrium right here. And we had the alert. This was the first one at 4 o'clock this morning. I wasn't up at that time, so it wasn't really, but I'm still able to use this as my reference. Ascending wedge, A, B, C, D. Here's the wedge. Came up, couldn't break the trend line, broke out of this wedge, came up. Now, was there enough room? If you were here at 4 o'clock in the morning, was there enough room to get your trade in? Only 5 pips. And this is what's been happening to us an awful lot here lately. We get the wedge, it goes up 5 pips. You've got a 1.5 or 2 pip spread. It goes up 5 pips out of your wedge. You come in, you get in maybe 2 pips from the trend line. It goes up 3 pips, turns around, stops you out. And this is what we've been dealing with for the last couple of weeks now. So we have to be respectful of these higher trend lines and see, is there enough room to get up there? Where is the next, if you have a nice strong move down, where's the next target where you may have some problems getting through? And that would be this one, this candle, this strong big red candle right over here. So I would be looking at, if I were to be even considering that trade at the time at 4 o'clock this morning, I'd have to be looking at this area right now as being an area of supply. And the reason for that is that here's where the nice strong move down, came back, retested this area, came down, broke this low, came all the way down into here. It's following this trend. So this is where, and this is all within the same channel. So, and you can see where it came up, didn't even get into this area and reversed right back into the wedge again. And now it's, so that just relatively tested the top channel, and it's coming down to retest the bottom channel. But you still have, this was the pivot low. This is again where the A is. That was the origin, came in, based a little bit, and then it took off. So this is the origin of this up move, but it's still well within this trend line, this trend area. So
yeah, that's pretty much what I saw.
Yeah. So when we came down here and I broke the wedge, we drew our two pip line. I still want to respect the A, because which is where my box is. I'm looking the A from my B to my A. This is the area where the price is more than likely going to come back and retest again. Once it breaks, it's probably going to come back and retest this area. So I'm looking at, this is my box. This is where it's going sideways. We have some extremes, so some extremes on either side, and that's going to probably come back into the box. The question on this trade was, is there enough room to this part and to the A to get my target? And I wasn't sure. So what I did when I saw, this is before I got this other alert. So when I drew this main wedge, when it broke here, came down and retested, it went right back up into the zone. This is about where I sat down this morning. So when I saw that, I thought, okay, if it and we had this red candle, we had the blue candle coming up into the zone, and we had the red candle. And I thought to myself, I'm not sure if we're going to get another whipsaw like we did up here. So I just decided that what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my entry right here with a sell limit. And I'm going to say, if I get filled, I get filled. If I don't, I don't. If I don't, no harm done. If I get filled, then we'd be watching, because I got this 62 coming down here. And I've got the top of the box. So my stop is way up here on the other side of this main trend. It's pretty much on the other side of the higher trend line. This was 12 pips. So I had lots of room. And so I just figured that I'm either going to get filled or I'm not, especially with today being a banking holiday like it is. I don't know if we're going to get the volatility. And you can see it came right down to my 7 pip target. And I'm not sure, it probably would have filled me just barely. And let's see if there's a fib line anywhere close by there. We have a blue fib line right here, and we have our red fib line. So right here is our 5 minutes chart. Here's our 5 minute zones. So our 21 pip range on this trade is between this red line. I got 21 pips between here and here. And this is going to be a red, green, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, there's zone, red zone. This is pretty much the, um, actually, we'd need a green. Let's see, here's red, blue. I'm too far here. We had the breakout right in the middle between the red and the green zone. I'm gonna bring this on down. Here's the green. I might get this right. Yep. So you can see where this thing stalled right here at this green fib line. And this is basically a demand zone right in here then. Blue,
I still
green.
find it so interesting how those lines are so accurate.
It just amazes me. And so right now, here's our 21 pip zone from where actually you could look at it from the 21 pips from the zone from the red zone, which is pretty much the main body of this, where all these prices are. It's all right in the middle between this red fib line, which is basically you're looking at the middle between your demand zone and your supply zone. Is breaking out of the bottom of that, but is it going to continue down to here? We just have a pass, came back, just rechecking it. And it looks like it could very well have some more push to the downside. So we're just going to use this now as our new zone. This is 7 pips here, another 7 pips here, another 7 pips here, and that's wrong because this is now the yen pairs. It's not quite that much. On the yen pair, these areas are a little bit different because of being the yen. So basically, they're almost about half the distance. There's 4 pips, another 4 pips, another 4 pips. So this is really a 12 pip region here, and it only applies on the yen pairs. All the other pairs that are dollar point something base. This is like $100, 100 yen, 105.43. So you're only using 2 decimals. So the yen pairs or these fib lines are about half the value of the other pairs. So just keep that in mind. So anyway, you're looking at pretty much a 12 pip move from, we have a pass, came back, checked it, and now we're looking at if it can break the bottom of this red line, it's probably going to head on down and retest the bottom trend line, which is right here, right below where the price is right now. Any questions with that?
No, my target on this is like 105.33. That's
But you did,
where.
and you did the stick.
Yeah, but I shortened the stick, and the reason I shortened the stick is because I drew the channel that you did. So I drew the channel of the price channel, the purple lines that you saw, like pretty much those big trend lines. So I drew that, and I put the intersection of the stick and the channel as a target.
Okay.
So down a
So
little bit more.
so here was the stick that I would have drawn with the wedge. I take my BC area by BD
That's the
area.
other wedge, right? That's the wedge from.
This is the first wedge. Yeah, this was the first
Yeah.
wedge, and that came down, and so this had been the break of the trend line. Here have been the targets, not quite to that target yet, and then we had the next alert, which was also a ascending. So we have this little area right in here is what we're looking at. If we draw a wedge off of this, at least this area that I'd be looking at this little area right in here, there, to bottom low, to the, here's the wedge on this one.
Yeah, mine's a little bit bigger than that.
You take it up, did you take it up to this area?
Yeah. Yeah, I like that better. And I can show you why if you wish.
Okay. Well, let me just go ahead and, well, okay, let me draw this one.
Yeah,
And
draw
then
this one, and then I'll.
then we'll see. But now this is the bottom of this stick. So I'm going to just mark it here. Just mark the bottom there. And we're going to take the stick and we're going to take it over. I'm going to take it into this area right between my, I'm using the top of the BD line and measuring to the C. Look at that little snap on that, and then I'm going to bring this down, and we'll see how close this comes to the other target. So this has been the bottom of this is where the break came in. Here's the target. Now, what I don't know is how much room there is from here to here. Would that have been worth taking the trade? And I'm going to say, let's see, this is 3 pips. So to me, that wouldn't have been worth taking the trade. We did have the break and close below the A part, which is from the very first wedge we had. So that did close below. And I do think it's not out of the ordinary, not unusual to expect that it's going to come down, at least retest this area, which is, let's see, where's my fib line? This area in between. What I'd be looking at, I'm going to be looking for this thing to come down and fall right in between this black zone right in here. We'll see how close it is. Okay, Matt, if you want to take yours, I'll stop sharing. You can take yours.
Yeah. Let's take a quick look. So,
I'll stop sharing.
Do you want to continue? Yes. Great. So, first thing I did is I drew the price channel. So, if you wanted to know kind of where the game is being played, then you would take your price channel, you would make like a trend line, and then you would go up. So I'll show you all one more time just what I did, just so that you guys had an idea. I went from this bottom to this bottom and then up, and then I basically dragged this up a little bit, brought it up to here. So I went from the highest high to the low, and I said, that's good enough for me.
And that's pretty much the channel which I drew, I believe, or pretty close to it, I think.
It's going to be very close. And to me, that's completely fine because I'm going to draw the wedge within there. It just gives me an idea of where price could be. So now, more or less, what I'm doing is I'm drawing my wedge. So I did a big wedge. And the reason I did a big wedge is because there was a whole bunch of alerts. Now, I like this bounce here. I like this bounce here and this bounce here. This means this is a very strong trend line. Very, very strong. This is a good top. Now, I'm not going to draw my stick from here, guys. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to draw it from here either. I'm actually going to draw it from here, just from the top. I don't have... This is as good as it was going to get with what I saw. So, next part is I drew a 5-minute wedge. So I went down to this one, and I drew my 5-minute wedge. So I took this one up here, and I put it down here. My entry on this trade, I'll tell you exactly where I entered and where my fill was, just so you can see. I waited for a 5-minute candle close in my direction. And if I have the right arrow, here, that's where my sell was. So I waited, 5-minute candle close in my direction, 2 pips at least, and then I took the trade. I didn't exit. I'm waiting for it to get to my destination. So that's basically the setup. Now, the reason I picked the stick and I did that target, 105.33 is actually where I had my channel originally. So this is going to be my target. And that's my take profit. So from the break to here is about 11 pips, 10 pips after you paid the dealer. Today's spread's going to be a little bit higher, most probably, just because the holiday significantly less trades being performed today. So does that make sense, Al? Is that kind of what you saw when you did it? Oh, I think you're muted.
There we go. Now I'm talking.
Yeah, you're
Your
talking
target
now.
is within 2 pips of where my target was. Is I've got mine at 105.37, which is, although I'm not in the trade, just keep that in mind. I never did
Yeah.
get to up here. But if I were in the trade, my target would be somewhere in the middle of this. Let me get my chart back
It's
up again.
interesting that our targets are very similar, even though we use different
Exactly.
techniques to get there.
Yeah, I find that does give some confirmation. That again, that's the whole thing with this. We draw these wedges rather mechanically. The question is there enough reason to take the trade or enough reason to stay out of the trade? And that's what we're all having to struggle with a little bit right now. Is there enough odds enhancers to say, I think it's going to break in this direction, I think it's going to hit this target? And oftentimes we're right about the break of the direction. We're not getting, lately we
Enough
haven't been
pips when
getting
it
the follow,
breaks.
we haven't been getting the follow through.
No,
Uh,
exactly.
and so that's why we have to be really careful to either just take our profits early and not worry about the big runs that we miss, but try and, again, the ultimate thing is to try to protect capital. And the criteria are your moving averages all in the right direction? Or is your strength of the pair, is it in the right spread? Are you in the right position to where you can look for a target that can give you a reasonable expectation to at least come close to hitting your target, to at least be profitable in the trade? And those are some of the things that, so like if I don't have enough room to cover where my A or my C is on the trend, and I'll try to see what the difference of that price is. Depending on how steep the angle is, will depend on how much distance is between like my C and my A. But this is my area that I'm looking for a possible target. Does it align with a fib zone? Does it align with the moving average? Does it align with a are there other criteria that says, okay, if it can get to this area, I can still be profitable? Um, because like if it just comes down and falls right into this zone, I mean, this one did break, but you're also looking at it only broke by 105.43 to 105.40. This is only a 2 pip break of this zone right here. And if you just got in right here, if you get in here, you're just you're basically right at this point. You're about break even with the spread. And so now the question is, well, it was a nice little drop, nice little retrace, nice little wedge right here. Broke out the wedge, coming back to retest the wedge. And there again, as long as you can, with a volatility like today being a relatively low volume day, then the question is, well, then you just say, well, my moving average is still up here, so I'm just going to stay in the trade and take your shot at it. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if you don't take a shot at it, you're never going to get anywhere. But you also have to be aware what the expectations are and what the reasonable expectations are where you want to get out. That's why we say early on, know where your entry, your exit, and your targets are. And if it struggles to get your target, just protect your capital. And anytime if you can get in and out within the spread, it's still considered you're safeguarding your profit. Where you get into trouble is you get in, you're looking for a 7 pip move, you get 5 pips back and turns around and takes out your 7 or your 12 pip stop. But that's where you're looking at the price action. Say if the trade works out as I'm anticipating it to be, and not expecting it to be, but where you anticipate it to go, if it follows your anticipation, it should be a good trade. If it fails to follow your expectations, you start looking at, okay, it's not meeting my expectations, therefore something's not quite right, and I want to get out of the trade, and just take your small loss. Like, so you can take 90% of your trades can be losses, but you can still be profitable if you catch the bigger runs. But you got to keep your target. You have to take your losses, keep your losses small. I know people that have 90% wins are still losing money because they'll make 1 or 2 pips that counts as a win, but they let a 50, 60 pip stop out, and there goes all their 90% of their wins with 2 pips. That's only 20 pips, and they'll let a 20 or 30 pip stop, take them out with one trade, and now that 90% win rate is they just lost their cap. They just lost. They had 90% win, but they still lost they're still losing, and you're
Yeah,
better off
I've
in
seen that.
having fewer wins with tighter stops than you are with having lots of wins with big stops.
I've
Excuse
seen
me.
that often.
Excuse me, gentlemen.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, Christy.
Beach Panda has a question. Matt, is that less trade today in the New York session or London session too? It's going back to a little bit earlier. It's just that you guys were talking so much. I didn't want to
Yeah.
break it in.
Oh no, that's fine.
That you're talking because the
Actually,
bank
yeah,
spread.
actually, the London session is probably okay to trade right now.
Well, the other side of that, Al, is that like the U.S. currency is the world currency right now,
True.
and if the doors are shut, I mean, it's not going to be a big movement day across the board.
But the doors would be shut during the London session every day, as it would be. Would that not be true? There was like the U.S. isn't
Mm,
trading during the London session, but the London market's trading the U.S. dollar against their own currency.
yeah.
And even like with this move right here
Mm.
with the Japanese yen, I mean, the Japanese are still trading. I'm thinking, are they? It's like 8 o'clock at night. Yeah, they should be done, but
Yeah, there's still people trading.
yeah, I mean, there's still people
Um,
trading. But when you have two of the big central banks, the U.S. central bank and the Canadian central bank on a holiday, that's taken away probably 25% of the volume for the day.
yeah, that makes sense.
But I do think that even though the London, even because the U.S. The U.S. folks are sleeping when the London market opens, so you're still going to have that volatility from the London market. The question will be: is will it follow through when the U.S. market opens up uh, at 8, now basically 9 o'clock? You'll start seeing a lot of the pre-market trades going on. So,
Oh,
and you're
I
not
know
going
what you
to,
mean.
and you're not going to get that today. So I
No.
think right now up until about 9 o'clock this morning, you'll probably be okay, even like with a British pound trade with the U.S. dollar. But as you get into our 9 o'clock hour, the volume's going to drop off considerably because you're not going to have the U.S. traders coming in.
Yeah, like for example, the whole percent change for today, thus far for UJ, is down like 0.16%, which is like not very much at all. And the British pound US dollar is only down 0.08%. So that's very, very small. Like the Aussie is moving better than the European pairs or the European cross pairs. Um, I still like this setup, Al.
Yeah,
I still like the way that everything played out. It is taking painfully longer than anticipated for this to hit the target, but I'm gonna
yeah.
stick with it.
I mean, case in
And
point, we had the alert. The first alert was at 4 o'clock in the morning, so that's where the first alert was, and we really didn't get a breakout until uh, 2 hours and 20 minutes after the alert. It was the first breakout we had to the downside. Now we had one to the upside. Again, that would have we had one pretty much right as we got the alert. Within 5 minutes, it broke out of the top, but it only went 5 pips. But now when it finally took 2 hours for this wedge to develop to the downside, so 2 hours and 20 minutes, we finally got the first break. And even that first break was a head fake because it was only uh, one, well, basically just barely got our 2 pips, came back into the wedge. And so we really had from this point to this point, our spread, again, the low, see what the volume is of that was. That was only 3 pips. So from the breakout, about 2 pips, came back up another 2 pips. So it was basing inside here, and then we finally got the break. Did get a retest, but we never really got the retest again until it was from the alert to the retest where I tried even getting in. It was over 3.5 hours after the alert, and it was right just before we got the second alert here at 7:45. That's a pretty slow reaction to a wedge alert.
We have an alert.
Oh, got another one. Aussie US.
US, yeah.
Thank you, Christine.
Descending. You're
Let's
welcome.
take a look. Let's take a look at that one. So we're going to go Aussie US. So I would say that other one, this may still be in play, but let's just start with a fresh one here. Aussie US 15-minute chart. And
Hey,
this was at 8:45, 8:30,
hey, Al.
8:30 descending.
It's Pedro. While you draw this wedge, can I just share a couple thoughts?
Sure.
So I actually did a trade. The same pair, the USD, um, the one we were talking about earlier,
US,
Yeah, the Japanese yen.
last night, and it did like it was only on demo anyway. I think it did take a bunch of hours in order to reach the target, but I did get 10 pips
Oh, good.
early this morning at some point, and then regarding the lines and the wedges you guys were drawing, the tunnel, I actually went back, and I usually go back and look at the previous trends, and to look at my targets, whether it's an uptrend or the downtrend, and so it kind of matches. Matt had his target at 15,333, right? I believe.
This was the 35,
Yeah,
105.
Yeah, 105.
35 or 33, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So, and when if I follow this funnel, the tunnel that you guys drew, and with a lower trend line from the past, it kind of matches. It kind of comes really close. I don't know if you know what I'm saying, but I just basically went back to see what was the lowest point that I could see that that the pair went down, and it comes close to that target.
Yeah. You're talking about this point right here?
No, I went all the way back.
All the way back way over to the
Yeah.
left? Okay.
Yes.
Well, let's do that.
What's my Pedro?
So right now, the lowest point right here, if I'm looking at a
Yes. Right.
1 hour chart, here we got this strong
Right
big
there.
coming up. So right this area right
Yep.
in here, I'm
Exactly.
looking as a possibility. This would be the wicks of this big blue candle. This would be where I would be drawing my demand zone. Right in here
Yes.
someplace. About like this. And I'd be expecting it to come down. If it does get down that low, this would be where I would expect the first bounce to be.
Right. Exactly. That's what I did.
You're right, and that's right. And there again, that's what you're saying is that's right at the bottom of where this
Yeah.
this trend. That'd be right in this area, right in here.
It's a little lower than the target, and my target is not that low because it's definitely a little more risky, and it would be more than 10 pips. But
And you can even look at this is the top of where this was basing, came back down. This is where it broke over here on the higher time frame. And so it broke right in there. So let's take a look and see where that comes into play. And that's right about that's right where this line's coming in.
Yeah.
So this line, this is where that red candle got broken to the upside way back over here. And so this would be the retest of that breakout. And this would be the zone. You can see how close you can see how these things just start repeating themselves. And this is where you start getting your odds enhancers. These are where you have certain odds enhancers for targets, odds enhancers for when to take the trade and when not to take the trade. And we'll just see. We'll see how this goes. We'll check that out. We'll keep an eye on that one. Let's go back to the Aussie US. Here's our wedge alert. Here's what I did is I took the 15-minute chart. I drew a trend line to the top. I drew a trend line from the bottom. Now, see, I could go.
Was it descending?
It was a descending. It was descending. So I'd be looking at coming into from the alert. I'd be looking at see where my pivot high for the overnight session is. It's actually pretty much right. This would be after the open. This would be the high right in here. So we have an anchor. We have a hit. We have another hit. That's the third hit right here on this trend line. We only have an anchor. We have a hit here, a hit here. I would view this as one right now because it really didn't go up more than a couple of pips. It only went up about 2 or 3 pips off of this to retest. I'd use this area here as one hit. I'm still looking for something out here for the third hit. So I'm just going to align this up with this, and I'm going to wait for a third hit somewhere after the alert for it to be retested.
Yeah, it seems like you made yours significantly bigger than mine, I think.
Well, but here, that's the big picture. This is the little picture right here. This is the smaller.
Oh yeah. That's the.
Yeah.
So I did the same channel exercise, and then so our bottom is pretty similar. I just connected those three bottom wicks as kind of a flatter bottom, or two wicks, whatever you want to call it.
So what I'm going to do, it was descending, so I'm going to start my A up there. I'm going to come on up to, well, this isn't really going to fly as far as descending goes. If I go up to that one, I'm going to take that one up there. I can use my C just
Yeah,
before
that's what I did.
And then I have my D. I'm going to just flatline my D down here.
Exactly.
There you go. So this is the main wedge. This is still valid, but now at this point, if I got a break below here, 2 pips, let me put my 2 pip line here. I'm going to draw parallel that, come over here, move it down 2 pips. And so right now I'm at 72.05, so 72.03, roughly right about there. Make this my zone to my entrance to sell. Same thing up at the top. Now I do have the 62 coming down here. So we have the 15 minutes, 62 right up here. Just about, I do not want to take it long with that 62 sitting right there. Now we do have a little hook right here. I'd be more apt to take it short at this point. You have a lot better shot at, but now we also have our 30 minutes 62. So right now we have it penetrated the the 30 minute, came back up, retesting the 15.62. These are both 62 moving averages here. One's 15 minute, here's the 30 minute. So right now we have a little bit of a battle going on here. I would be more apt to take it short up here. And then if it breaks the bottom, then I'm already in the trade. But I would have my stop being up in this area. Now but now you're in the middle of you're still in the middle of the wedge. This is where the odd enhancers come in. Okay, so really it's getting bounces off the 30 minute, it's getting bounces off the 16. Let's take a look and see what it looks like on our 5 minute chart. It's took the 62 on the 15 minute. I'm going to draw that over here. So here's my 62. My 15 minute 62 is right there. So that's it right here. Here's my 5 minute 62 right here. Let me draw that one. So here's my 5 minute 62. So now I've got, this is a channel that it's going to have to get through both of these, plus it's going to have to get through the top of the wedge, plus it's going to have to get, which would be heading up towards this one. I do not like this to take it long. Plus we have all of this hook right here is right up. So now I'm looking to see where my 1 minute is. We can tweak this thing on the 1 minute. There's a high before, so right now there's our channel. Here's our 62. We're starting to get so right now between the 15.62, the 5.62, the 1 minute 62 is this white one. So right now it's just basing in between here. How much room do we have between the C and where we are right now? That's only 4 pips to the top. And if we wait till the breakout to the top, we only have a couple more pips till we're going to run into another wall. So I'm just going to pass on this right now at this point. If I'm looking at anything, I'm going to be looking at taking it short up here, hoping for it to come back to the bottom. And the overall range between my C and my D is 12 pips, and that's only a 12 pip range. Trade, there's so many variables in here that I'm just going to, right now, I just pass on. If it comes up here on the 1 minute and I can get the moving averages on the 1 minute to flip over and be in the right direction. But the problem you have is that you've got the 62 here. These are not in the right direction. If the green moving average, which is the 5-period moving average, can flip below the yellow one, and the yellow can stay below the purple one, then we have a purple, yellow, green. That would be in the right direction. Same way over here is if we can get the orange, yellow, green. The yellow and green is still okay on this one. So if it comes up and can flip over before the 5-period moving average crosses the yellow, then we could have a possibility of a short trade. You want everything moving in the right direction. Right now, they're not in the right direction, not in the right sequence. So at that point, I'm just going to pass on this. Everything's still in the middle over here. It's still kind of in the middle here. We did get a little bit of an extension on there with a little bit of a hook, which gives me reason to think it may break to the downside. The Aussie, the RCS, only 1 point spread. Over here, we have a 3 point in favor of the Aussie. This is saying going long. This was saying going long. This is saying going long. Aussie's the first currency of the pair. This thing wants to break to the top side, but you have all this rebar in here. It's got to get through this wall first. And if it gets through the wall, there's just not that much room to the upside to make it worth the trade, in my opinion. Anybody have any comment on that?
I hate to say this, but I absolutely agree.
You hate to say that, Matt.
Yeah, why you hate to say that?
No, it's just because I like different viewpoints, and if there's not a different viewpoint, I'm like, oh, okay, then there's not another viewpoint. It's really, I guess, we're getting to a point now that we're trading so similar that, I don't know. You're talking and it's already going on.
Yeah, I mean, we're approaching the problem from different directions, but we're coming up with the same solution. And that's where the odd enhancers are coming in. We're both looking at the same factors as to, is it worth taking the trade or is it not? Just because it breaks a wedge doesn't mean it's going to be a good trade. And that's where the challenge of wedge trading or any type of trading is to, where is your probability factor of to me, the probability factor of this thing coming up here and reversing is a lot higher than going up, breaking through. Now, I could be wrong with both directions. I could be wrong with that. But the probability is it's going to bounce off the 62. It's going to bounce off the 62. It's going to bounce off the top. This trend line has been validated. This arrow says, okay, I've got my third hit on this major trend line. Now, if it does break through here with some volume, if it breaks through there with some strength, well, then we're looking at the next target from there. It's going to be up here. So if it can, well, actually, if it breaks through this, then the next target is up here. So this would be the target. If it can break through this trend line, then I would say, okay, then we have an option of this would be the target. And so we put a target here. Now, if it breaks through here, do I have enough room to get 7 pips before it breaks this? And we're going to measure it. So okay, if here's where it breaks, come up here, that's 11 pips. Okay, that would be a reasonable target. You don't have any wicks as we break this trend line. It can break this red candle here. This would be, to me, this would be a trap. I would put this as a trap right in here. In other words, it's going to break. It breaks and it's going to trap you because we talked about this a little bit, and this is what I call a trap, is that it breaks the trend line, it comes up here, but it's got to break through this red candle because this was where the move started. From up here, came down, tested, came back down. Now it's retesting this little basing zone here. If it can break through that, it's going to come up and retest this, but by the time it breaks the wedge, there's your trap. If it can break that, well, if you look over here, you said, okay, here's the top of a wick. Come over here, well, there's the body. No more wicks until you get over here. Now it's clean sailing until you get to this point right up there.
Hey, we got another alert.
Another alert?
Yeah.
New Zealand USD. Again, these would be, in my mind, these would be tradable, even though we're on holiday.
Yeah.
But we're also getting to the 9 o'clock hour. We're getting into 9 o'clock. which is where you're going to start losing some of the volume from these other overnight currencies. So let's take a little look at this. This would be the New Zealand. Let me double
Yeah, it's New
make a
Zealand.
duplicate here. Let me make a duplicate here. And we're going to make this a New Zealand US. I think what I've been doing lately is I've been just analyzing the trades, whether I'm taking it live or whether I'm taking it demo. It doesn't really matter. I'm just analyzing and just see, is it giving me the results? Am I being selective enough to which trades I'm taking? And again, I would rather see, rather than see these RSIs all the way up here and expect a breakout, I'd be more apt to see it break out, have the hook here, maybe have the breakout, have it come back down here, and then give me another chance to get in when the strength is on the pullback. And then if it still says valid, and that's why when we often earlier on we were saying if it breaks the top of the wedge, comes back and retests the wedge. Well, the retest of the wedge would be when this thing comes back, hooks down. There's the retest. Now when that hooks, now you're back in the trade. So let's take a look at this one. This was a New Zealand ascending at 8:45. So let's just go over here to
Beach Panda just has a comment.
Yes, Beach Panda.
Just watching, the Aussie US is just ranging, and the US yen seems to be doing better.
Let's see, where's the US yen here? US yen is still, yeah. I feel pretty good that this US yen is going to come down into this black zone here. I think it could possibly bounce off this yellow one because that's where it broke over here on the red candle, or it could wick down in through here and come in. But I would not be surprised to see it come down into this zone right in here, and we'll just kind of keep an eye on it.
So Aussie US, I'm gonna wait for a 5-minute candle close in my direction, and then I'll take it. So right now we're broken. We broke the wedge at the top, and I have another 2 minutes and 20 seconds until I take this trade. As long as the
Aussie US,
yeah,
you can take it in, take it long.
yeah.
I've gotten into it, guys, long.
Okay.
I got into it because the 15-minute candle closed and then reopened still long, so I jumped in then.
Okay.
So we've got the.
Right, Ava.
This is the 5-minute candle
Right.
here.
For the Aussie, I got in it at 72.18.
You got in before it actually broke the top of the wedge.
Yeah.
Right up there on the candle right there.
Well, it broke my wedge though, so I guess I drew my
broke
wedge
yours.
a little bit different.
It broke yours, okay.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Let's see here. Aussie US is looking at. Well, the 5-minute candle hasn't broken. I didn't draw the upper channel here.
Still didn't close. I'm being very, very mechanical with these entries.
So this
Very
is at
mechanical.
71.17, so 72.19, 72.19. Okay, there's our 2-pip channel.
Yeah.
Here's our entry to buy. And we want to see a 5-minute close. We got the 2-pip range.
Mm-hmm.
Now the question is, are we going to get the close above where I drew my wedge? And we still have 37 seconds to go. We get the close. So if we get the close, let me see what, let's get on the, this is probably going to be in the same alignment with we have all the moving averages over here. We have the 62 yellow 5. And so this is good, right direction. These are out of position. And this one is out of position. So I'm going to pass on this trade.
All right. So let's see.
We have the Aussie strong on the 5-minute and the 1-minute, not strong enough for me on the 15. So we've got the 5-minute close inside here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if this thing can come down and hook and still stay within this wedge right area right here. If it can come down and still hold the 62. Now, if it comes down and retests the 62, it's going to be back in the wedge.
So
But
UJ.
it did close above. It did close above the 5-minute 62 on here. It did not close above the 1562.
Okay. So
And I would
you.
be looking at. I'm still looking at now. I'm still looking at this as a possibility of a trap here as well.
So UJ is about to hit its take profit,
Okay, so that would be the
and I
strength
am
of
officially in AUD USD.
you're in it. Okay. And your target is going to be at the
Oh,
top
good
of the wedge.
question. I am looking at so my stick brings me to 72.32, but my target is going to be the top of my channel, which is going to be 72.28.
Okay, so your channel's right about the same as mine.
Yeah.
So if you got in on this close of this candle, and you've got your 9 pips, okay, you have 10 pips to the top of the channel. That's a doable thing. Let me just take a look at this here a little bit here on this 5-minute. Let's see if this is what I consider this. Right now, this would be here's the A. This would be, if we're going for this for the target, I'd rather get it down here than try and get it with it if it breaks.
Yeah, it's pretty close, right?
If it breaks this A, you're not going to have your 7 pips till you get to there.
Yeah.
You'd have to get up to this target. But if it does break this zone right in here, then you've got this little area right in here you have to deal with, and that's going to be.
Well, we're about to find out what's going to happen.
We're about to find out here. Yeah, you're about to find out. So this would be a supply zone. This would be up at the target area.
What was the other currency? There was just 2 alerts, right? AUD USD and UJ. Or there's the Kiwi too.
Yeah.
The Kiwi. We had the Kiwi doing pretty much the ascending.
Let's see. What's the Kiwi say? I never even did it.
You keep an eye on your Aussie trade, and I'll draw this one out as we go.
Yeah, I was supposed to.
This was New Zealand was ascending. So I'm going to draw it from, here's the alert, ascending. Let's just get this one up on the 15-minute here. Nice strong move up here, basing a little bit, but this is the area right in here that I'd be interested in for a retrace target area, right about in this area. To the downside. Here is 60 or 1562. Here's our 30. Right now it's bouncing off of this. This was an ascending wedge, so I'm going to start with the bottom. And this is the area I'm looking at for the wedge, right? This little bottom part right here. Let's see, ascending. So I'm going to start with the A at the bottom. And I'm going to go up to this one. Down to the bottom, come back to this one. I could maybe tuck this one. I'm going to use this as a
Kiwi US was descending, was it?
Kiwi ascending.
Oh, I'm not doing that ascending.
I'm be looking at.
I'm making it descending, and we'll see how it goes.
I like this one right in there. I would want to see it. Oops. Take this one. I'll take this one. I'll take this one. Take this one. All of our moving averages are consolidating right inside here right now. This is a flat top right in here. See if I take this back and move this one up a little bit. That's my bigger wedge. Here's the smaller one over here. Let's break this down to a smaller time frame, see if it makes sense. The fact we had this strong move down, I'm really looking at this area right here, reference to the alert. But we have this 30 minutes 62 right here, which is giving us a couple bounces right off of that. We had a little bit of a penetration, but it came right back up again. Again, I'm not interested in this one. Here's our bigger wedge, the orange one. Here's our secondary wedge, which I'll draw with strong move down, little flag down, but we've got a major area it's got to get through. If it can break through, it's got to get through the bottom of this orange area.
Aussie's looking ugly. It came back into the wedge. Let's see what happens.
I'm going to flat top this. I'm going to flat top the bottom. I don't really like this one either. I don't like it because it's right between these two major moving averages. Got a 562 and a 3062, and it's right in between the two without a whole lot of range, I don't think. Got 7 pips. So basically, if we look at this thing from the perspective is from this candle, from this red candle to the current candle now, and the range, it has a 7 pip range over the last 2 hours. That's not enough volume for me to trade it. That's a very narrow range in 2 hours. So if we get a break below, I would still have to go with
Getting close to the 9 o'clock hour. We'll see what happens.
Close, yeah.
We'll see what happens on the on a holiday at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
That'll be an interesting view here. I'm about to hit my take profit on UJ right now. I'm
actually it blew right through. Yeah, it's right in. It's coming bouncing right off of this blue fib line right here. It would have made my target that I had set up here, right now it's at 38, 30. Right now it would have got my target. My target zone was this bottom yellow one. It still may have not gotten me filled if I were in this one because it's got only about a pip. This one I'm going to pass on. How about the Aussie? Aussie came up, broke out.
Aussie's coming down.
Came into my trap. Here's the hook on the 5 minute. Now the question is, would it be enough for it to come back down to hook? I'm not convinced. Again, let's see what's the range on this from the A to the B area over time period. This thing's in the last 3 hours and 40 minutes, it's only ranged 17 pips.
And here comes the 9 o'clock hour in about 25 seconds. 20. So Aussie US might hit the 62 moving average, and that's what I'm waiting for, that bounce. As for UJ, well,
Matt, what was your entry on UJ, please?
Oh, it was 105.44.
Okay. I wrote it down.
And that's a key number. What he just said, that's a key number because that's between the 45 and 55. And 50 is a major quarters. 105.50 is a major quarters. 5 pips above at 55, 105.55, 5 pips below, 105.45. That's a major zone. And if you got to close below that 45, the odds of it going lower is probably pretty good. And having the 55 being your stop would be, and that was, you got the break below the 45. You got the nice clean break below the 45. And so this thing could go down to the next quarter, which would be the, well, the fib line is right here at 32.
Oh, that's really gross. Aussie US is way inside the wedge. Let's see what happens here.
In case you lose me, my lights just flickered for a few moments.
Oh, okay.
Lost one monitor, it's booting back up.
Oh, okay.
It's like pouring here terribly.
Mm.
How's the Aussie? This was the Aussie. How about New Zealand? New Zealand's doing still inside, bouncing off the 30-minute, bouncing off the 5. And so this is just getting tighter and tighter and tighter in here. Major trend line on this one. I go over here to my 15-minute chart. I say we have a pivot here. This was the area where it was rejected, right from this point right up here on the 5th. This was Friday, I guess, or Sunday. Today's Monday. This was Sunday night. So Sunday, but this is what day is this? That's the 8th. That was Friday. So this is Friday's high right here. This was the overnight. And if I look down here, I like this rally. Here's a nice little basing. I'll respect this area right here. I would expect it to bounce off of this little zone. Template demand. We'll call this supply. And if it breaks here, it's going to be right into this. It would have to break through this area right here, and then we have some room to the downside. But it's got to break and close below that. So right now, it could take several hours before that happens. So this is the area that I'd like to see. I'd like to see it close. I want to see it close in, break and close in here. And then it's got to break out the bottom. And pretty much the same thing here. Once it breaks through that, let's see if there's anything over here that I can see. Strong move down, strong move. Here's our W right in here. If we look at this W, came back, broke above. It's got this area right here that's fighting through this wick area right in here. Let me just move this over. See how this came right on up into here? Once, twice, 3 times, got rejected. Now, if it does break, we're looking to break to the downside.
All right, so I'm out of my
So Beach Panda has,
UJ.
Okay, Beach Band, yes.
yes, overlaying the Jackie strategy and the Hawkeye. It seems to work. doing well on the UJ and still in play.
I'm not sure what Jackie's strategy is, but I'm glad
I
to
was
hear that there.
talking to her. I was talking to her the other day. We had a little call.
Uh,
Yeah, we do a lot of things in common.
Is that Jackie Pineda?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is the Jackie strategy? Is it vastly different than what we're doing?
Not really. She's using a lot of the stuff that we do, and but she's. I need to sit down with her again to go over exactly what she does. Maybe do a little bit. But Aussie didn't work out, Al, and I'm thinking I should have checked the moving averages. So I wanted to do it without the moving averages.
Beach Panda says that Jackie takes the previous 15-minute wicks and draws horizontal lines instead of a wedge.
Yeah.
the previous wick, the top of the wick, I believe.
Yeah, the top and the bottom.
So basically what she would be doing, if I'm understanding you correctly, here's the alert, here's the wick, here's the wick. So she would probably, let me just take all this stuff off of here. So if here was the alert at 8:45, I think, or was it 8:30? 8:45.
15-minute wicks, though. You're on your plan.
15-minute wicks. Okay, we'll just put it on 15 minutes. So here's the alert.
So the top and the bottom.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's over there.
That's easy.
So we have a wick here. So basically we'll draw a, let's see, this is not alert there. So basically,
she would probably end up in the same mess we're in right now with the.
she'll probably do the same thing. She's basically looking at this as a range box.
Yep, exactly. So instead of drawing the wedge, it's just a box, and it works very, very similarly.
Yeah.
She just finds it easier that way.
Yeah.
Seeing it visually, it makes sense, but.
And when you look at it, here's a drop, here's the base, here's another drop, come back up, retest the base, retest the moving average. Broke this one, so this one could very well break to the bottom. And then if it breaks through all those wicks, now you've got all this area over here to go. Nothing on the 15-minute chart, there's not a single red candle. Here's a little wick over wick, or a little pause between the candle close and candle open. Same way here. But this would be the area that I would be looking at for a target. If you're going to go for the higher run, you would be looking at, say, this area right in here as we call this our demand area. And I like the fact that this blue candle broke this, it even broke the wick and the body of the red candle. So let's just use that as the conservative part, make this our supply. Or demand zone, rather. This would be our demand area. If it breaks through here, and then we have all this. Now, I could handle taking this trade. Let's see what the range is here. That's 11 pips. And do we have a fib line anywhere close by? Right in the middle of the zone. The breakout is going to be somewhere right here. So here's this would be our 21 pip range. Here's our red to green. This is the middle. This is the middle of the move. If you look at this, if you consider like the red being the beginning to where this would be the supply zone. This would be the blue to the red would be supply. The green to the blue would be demand. This is right at the top of the demand zone. This is breaking out right in the middle. This is the meat of the move right in here. And if you're looking at from here to here, that's your 21 pips. I kind of like this. I actually kind of like this trade right now. Not that but see if it breaks through the bottom. If it breaks through the red to this area right in here, to the green line. And we're going to make this red to green.
So Aussie US, I'm still in. It's just because I saw it's coming down to the 30-minute 62, and it bounced off of it. So I'm still thinking it might come up a bit, but I don't know. At this point, it's kind of... I'm going to try to get out break even if I can. But I won't aim for a big target. I'll potentially look for a better entry, if anything.
Here's a 21 pip supply zone. Here's the middle of the meat of the matter, and then here's the 21 pip demand zone. This would be the area that we're looking to be able to get this run out of. And so I'm going to make this one. This blue green. And if it can break out of here, we still have enough room to get a few pips out of it. Now the question is going to be is how long is it going to take for this to break out of the bottom of here?
Yeah.
Says Jackie uses a 5-minute entry.
Yeah, she used to use 1 minute, and then she found it was too fast, and that's why I use 5 minutes as well.
Let me go to a 5-minute chart here and double check the entry here. Wick to
You'll,
wick.
You'll see how she does a lot of things very similar.
I know she was in the room early on. She was in the room.
Yeah, she learned a lot. Let's say it that way. She's very thankful for some of the things that she learned from our room, and she always says it on any of her calls.
She does a lot with gold, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, gold and indices and some other things. She's a very well-rounded individual. Actually, when I was talking to her, she's like, I went out and I drew like 2,000 wedges.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, really? Yeah, you told me to. I said, well, I didn't expect you to actually go out and draw them. She's like, well, full disclosure, I only drew the wedges that I would have taken during my time that I was actually trading. So it was like 1,500 wedges. I'm like, still 1,500 wedges.
Right.
You drew them all, and you've got 4 kids that you're taking care of, and you've got this, and you've got that. So what's my excuse? I've got 2 kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was really a check. Like, hey, you need to smarten up, because people have some big challenges, and they're still able to make trading work. So it's all about how bad you really want it, and what you're willing to. Are you willing to put in the time to learn? You know, she's not who she is today because she just randomly started the charts, and she's one of those 2% people that just gets it naturally. She had to work her butt off, and she puts in the work.
Beach Panda said Jackie uses a 5-minute entry. Jackie just sent me a direct DM that Aussie US is a quote straight sell.
Yeah, well, I wish I would have known that earlier. I wouldn't have.
Oh, the U.S. is a straight sell? Is that what he said?
That's what she's saying. Well, let's find out. That's that 30 minutes 62. So we got a bounce there. We'll see how.
We got a break, a close, a blow, All of our 5-minute moving averages are in the right direction.
For short?
Yep. And yep. And we got the close. And actually, if I were drawing this wedge, I'd still be looking at the break of, well, let's just say I would be considering drawing it in this direction. Whether it was ascending or descending doesn't really matter to me in this case.
Well, someone's going to be wrong today. It's either me or Jackie.
I like this top right here. I like
Or
this
Al.
I like this little head fake. I like this little break here. I'm going to take this one over and move it up to align with this. And I'm going to move this one down below. We have the hook up here. Come back. If it comes up into the middle and hooks down, I could possibly get in this trade. How's our RCS tool? RCS says dollar strength. Dollar is second currency of the pair. Looking strength to the downside. This is on the 5-minute, which isn't huge. It's marginal. Again, remember the day today. No, there aren't any U.S. banks open today. There aren't any Canadian banks open today. We are now in 15 minutes from what would normally be the open of the market, and there's not going to be much of a market open today because they're closed.
Right.
But mechanically speaking, I would be looking at taking this on a close below in here, but I prefer to see, I'd like to see the break of the A come back, retest this little area. In other words, like if it can, I'm still looking at this A being, you've got this blue candle coming up, big blue candle coming up. So right here, this little box right in here on this 5-minute chart. All things considering, not considering what markets are open, which ones aren't. I'd like to see a close below. I'd like to see a lower close on this blue candle. So right now, this is where this move started. See if I can get this A coming back here. There's where the move started. And I'm going to tuck this in right here at the base of this blue candle. I'm going to tuck this one at the base of where the A is. Or in this case, it should really be the bottom of this trend line right in here, the box. If I can get a close inside here with some momentum to the downside, I could take this trade. But what I would like to see is see the break, get a close inside the box, possibly retrace, retest the wedge, get the hook on the upside. Like you have up here, you have these hooks on the upside, get the hook on the upside after it breaks, and then enter the trade. And you may have to get that on the 1-minute chart. That's one reason I like the 1-minute charts.
If I understood correctly, Ava, you're still in this short Aussie US.
Did you get in the Aussie US, Ava?
Yes, I'm in a long though, not a short.
That's what I mean.
It hasn't stopped me out yet. So
you got in when it broke to the top of this.
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
Okay.
I did as well. So
Yeah.
I'm going to be exiting if it comes back and touches the top of the trend line, and I will take a small loss.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same if it kind of starts faltering around there, or it'll stop me out because I have to put my stop in, and if it stops me out, then
And where is it? Where's your stop? Did you put it at 72.05?
08. I put it at
Okay.
08.
Oh, inside the wedge.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's 10 pips away from where I entered, so that's what I normally do.
Yeah, it's 3 pips or so inside the wedge.
You talking about the New
Yeah.
Zealand or the Aussie US?
Aussie.
The Aussie.
Yeah, your safer stop is on the other side of the wedge.
Matt,
Yeah, what's up?
Beach Panda wrote you a little message.
Yeah, I saw it.
All right.
Yeah, I saw it. All right, so we're going up. Let's see where we're going. Hey, Ava, we're ready?
Are we going up? All right.
Yeah. Yeah, my other
Okay.
indicator said we're going up for a little bit, so we'll see how long it takes to go up, and if we only get 2 candles and then it turns around. I don't know.
Well, let's see what it's going to do for us here. It's
Pedro said the UJP hit. It's a target.
sorry.
UJ hit the target.
UJ hit the target.
Oh, yeah.
So where's your target on the Aussie, Matt, and where's your stop?
Oh, my exit? Well, my exit, I'm hoping and praying 72.15.
That's a great
Yeah.
philosophy.
Yeah, I know. It's fantastic. Totally preach against that all the time. Well, this little guy's got to go to the washroom, so give me a sec. I will be back.
Okay.
And hopefully it doesn't turn around too hard.
Yeah.
Oh, good, Beach Panda. Took 10 pips on it, on UJ.
Good job.
Hey, Al,
Yes.
just a quick question. Did
Yeah.
you get my email regarding for the?
Yes,
To
I
get all
believe I
the-
did. I believe I did. And in fact, Matt, when Matt gets back, we'll double check to make sure. I gave Matt an updated list the other day, and we'll ask him and make sure he. Let me check my list here. I'm pretty sure I have you on the list. Let me double check it here.
Hey, Al, can you check to
Thanks.
see if I'm on there as well? I sent you an email.
You
My
are,
email
so Janine,
address.
you are on the list. And
Okay.
now, Janine, I do have a question about yours. Is your login your Gmail address?
Yes.
So when you go up to this little box up here and
Yes.
you have your login, it says it has your email address here.
Should, yeah.
Okay. I just want to double check that that's how
hold on.
your login ID is. And Pedro, yeah, I do have
It may
yours.
just be my name.
Well, whatever isn't, when you go up to this these 3 lines up in the upper left-hand corner,
Yeah.
and you click on that box, and you should have your profile come over across. This is your login ID. Like mine is
Oh, it's
ACM.
just my name then, without
Okay.
the email.
So it's
It's just Janine Heslop.
without the email. Okay, that's going to make a big difference.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I just want to. I was kind of questioning that one.
Yeah, I saw Beach Panda's message.
Yeah, and Pedro, I've got you, Matt. Check your access list to the moving averages and the RSI. Make sure Pedro is in there and Janine is in there. Those are the last 2 that I got.
And Beach Panda.
Beach Panda, you should
I
have those.
added him. I'll check right after this trade, and
Beach
then
Panda,
we'll figure
Beach
it
Panda,
out.
click on this little FX box here, click on invite only script, and
That's
see
where
if
you're
you
gonna
have
find it.
them in the multiple RS with a green padlock and the.
Oh, the other one that I didn't add you to.
Both
Yeah, you
strength.
didn't add me to that one. Yeah, but you should have a green padlock on these. So double check if, because I want to be able to check it off and make sure that I know that you have them.
Yeah, I'll go check that right after
Okay.
after this trade.
Yeah. Stay in this. Stay on the after we get done here, and we'll just double check to make sure you have those.
Mhm.
Both you, Pedro, you, and Janine, and Christine. I guess. No, Christine, you should have yours.
I'm good. Beach Panda was the
Oh,
other
Beach Panda. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. I didn't get Beach Panda confirmed. I've got a little list and see who's confirmed and who's not confirmed.
one. I am confirmed.
You are confirmed, and you're confirmed with. Well, actually, Christine, you should have all 4 of them now, right?
Yes, I'm good.
Okay, I'll go double check that. Next. Okay, so you're good.
Mhm.
And Rajiv, you should have all 4 too. Is that right, Rajiv?
Is he in the room?
Yeah, he's in the room.
Oh, he's been kind of quiet today.
Double check yours. Make sure you should have all 4 indicators: the fib tools, the RCS tool, and the moving average and the RC and the RSI. Okay, yeah, Rajiv, you got it. Okay, I'm just going through my list here, make sure that's good. And Beach Panda, you Okay, Matt will get that for you before we get done. Before we get done here, you should have the 2 of the 4, and we're still working on getting the coding from Anthony for Matt to put it in for us.
Yeah, I can. I'll do it right away, guys, and you can actually see it as soon as I click OK.
So
It'll
just
show up in
yeah,
your invite only.
So just stay on. Just stay in.
Stay around.
Just stay around. Yeah.
I'm just trying to get out of this trade.
I don't think anybody's coming in after us here at 9:30. I don't think
No.
today. Right now, I'm not in any trades right now. I do like the idea. I do like the breakout of this one, but I don't know if we're gonna get the volume today to make that happen.
Hey, that's a nice bounce off of the bottom there, eh? I like that.
Bottom of the 3062.
No, your wedge.
Oh, yeah.
My wedge is different. Maybe I'll have to move it because that looks like a really good bounce, actually.
I do kind of like
better.
I do kind of like using these flat tops on one side of the wedge.
Mm-hmm.
I do kind of like that because
I try to get it flat as much as I can.
Yeah, because here's the nice little. Again, here's the nice little. Here's a drop. Here's a little basing. Here's another drop. Whenever you get a drop, base, and a drop, you should get a retest, which is right here. This was the retest.
And yeah, so you made a small one.
And the retest is right here in the middle of this, what I call our supply zone. Here's our red line. Here's our blue line. Here's our supply zone. This whole zone here, this whole 21 pip zone. It came up right in the middle of that zone. And you can see that this candle right here is just about right in the middle of this. And there again, these are confirmation areas. You have a line right here. You've got a zone right here. It's in the middle of a zone. That's a confirmation. We have moving average. You've got a bounce off a moving average. This has been penetrating. Right now it's crossing back and forth over this 30-minute 62. This is where all the price action is right now. Once it gets out of this sideways, and this is where, again, I'm going to say again, and I've said before, I'll say again, and this is my story and I'm sticking to it, is that you've got prices are going to trend down, it's going to trend up, and it's going to trend sideways. In every sideways motion, there's going to be trends up and trending down. But with every trend up and down is going to be inside of a sideways box. Find the box, try and find the upper part of the box and lower part of the box, and if it breaks out, it's going to be making a new box. I think there's more to be gained by trading the upper part of a box and the lower part of a box. Oftentimes,
and messing around in the middle.
Trying to mess around with the middle.
Oh yeah, you don't want that.
Trying to pick these small little trends, because oftentimes you just don't have the movement.
Oh, come on, go up, man. It's so painful. It seems like it's going. I'm watching my little indicator with the lines. Actually, it's going to go up.
Let's see how the New Zealand's doing here. The market's going to open in about 1 minute. The market's going to not open in about 1 minute.
Mm-hmm. 1, 2, 3. Ava, check that out. I won't say nothing because I don't want to jinx myself. Oh, Rajiv, don't worry about it. It was my bad to not exit once it came back inside the wedge. I was testing a theory, testing it on a live account, of course. But yeah, if it comes back into the wedge 2 pips, I should have exited.
You always want to test your theories on a live account.
Yeah,
That way you remember
absolutely.
exactly what the theory was.
Well, yeah. There's a little bit more emotion involved.
I'm being facetious, just so.
Oh no, I'm well
Didn't-
aware.
Well, I don't. But for the benefit of anybody listening, they don't take me seriously. Pen test theories. Do it on a demo account.
Yeah.
We know you guys are friends.
Yeah.
So I've been a little gun shy taking some of these trades at all here lately, just
You
because I'm still marking them. I'm still testing it. Once I start seeing that my areas are starting to pan out, like the one today with the
Mhm.
UJ, once I start seeing that those things are starting to work, then maybe I'll get back into trading those pairs that seem to be supporting our method. When they stop supporting the method and start getting stopped out, I just stop trading until they start working again. And that's pretty much where I am right now. I like this channel. I like the fact it's bouncing right off. And this is right where I think it was Pedro that was saying this area right here. And it came, look where it came right down to it. They come over here to this, let's see, come over here to where we had this, again, we had this strong, when you get these strong these rocket ships coming right out, more than likely that's going to be the area that's going to get retested. But you wait for it to come back in to get retested. I'd be more apt to take this thing long down here at this point now, because you're getting a bounce off of the supply. Once you get everything moving in the right direction, this
Yeah.
could be the end of this run, and you could be looking for a reversal pattern down here to go back
Yeah,
up again.
you could be going right back into the channel, top of the
Yeah.
channel.
But this channel has held. Well, here the channel was developed off of this one, and this been held, so it's got strong move down, hit, come back up, retest the top, strong move down, hit, come back, retest the top, strong move down. That's what you're looking at. You're looking at this, and every time it comes up, retest the top. If the channel still holds, it should be retesting the bottom. This is the move you really want right in here.
Aussie's trying really hard. The Aussie's trying really hard to get up.
Are you still in it, Matt?
Yeah, I'm still in it.
And you're long, correct?
Yeah. It's doing like a third bounce on the bottom trend line. And that wasn't what I expected, but now it broke to 62. And that was your stop.
This thing is telling me this thing's going to go short.
And I'm thinking
There's still a little bit of a battle between the Aussie and the U.S. for last place.
yeah.
Like I said, if it breaks the box, if it breaks the wedge, if I get a close below the wedge, I want to see at least come down into this area right here. If it doesn't get down into this box right here, I would not be interested in taking this trade. If it comes down into this area and this little box in here, this little area right in, see if I can draw it. If this little area right in here can hold.
Something funky happening.
This little orange area here, if it can come down here and this whole area hold, then I see you might have a good short. That could be a nice little entry if it bounces off the top of that wedge. We had comes down, break. No, we have we got 25 seconds for this 5-minute candle to close. We already got the 1-minute candle close. You have the hook. Right now, you don't want to take it short because you have a hook down here at the bottom. You want to wait for this hook to come back up and hook up at the top. Now, it may hook, if it hooks in this lower, here's our 60-40 zone. If this blue RSI can come up into the zone or even below the zone and hook before it breaks out of the top of the 60, you might have a nice little bounce off of the bottom trend line. Moving averages are all in the right direction on the 1 minute. I like that. I would like that part for a short. This is in the right direction. Moving averages, you got the 62, 13, 5. They're in the right direction on that one. 62, 13, 5. And then, so right on all three time frames, your moving averages are all in the correct time direction to go short. You just got the break of the wedge. You got the 5 minute close. It's coming up and retesting it. This could be a nice drop, base, and another drop again. And I'd be looking at possibly, in fact, this one I'd be, there's our blue candle. I would be looking at taking maybe a sell stop.
Let's see.
2%. Sell stop, take profit. I'm going to say 14, stop 7.
Oh,
And a sell stop at the bottom. If it comes back down into, say it goes 72.10. So I'm going to come up here with 72. That's right where it's at right now. It'll come up a little bit. That's the bid. I mean, what's the, and we want to go below the bid. So 72.
you say it's below the 200 EMA on the 5 minute.
Yep.
I don't use the 200.
No, it should be the 62.
No, I'm reading the chat. Beach Pandas.
Oh.
Isn't that the 30-minute 62L?
This is the 30. Yeah, the blue one is the 30-minute 62 on all charts.
Right.
Now, if I get a close above if I get a close back above the 5 minute 62 on this 5 minute chart, then I like to keep my stop. I'll keep my stop above this red zone. That's an 8 pip stop. I've been liking 12 pip stops better here lately, just because it keeps me a little bit more out of harm's way. But if it comes back up, it shouldn't come. If everything is right, it should not penetrate this 62. If it does, that means something's not working out as anticipated.
No, it means that I might get out with a little bit more profit than I anticipated. So we'll see. I made a pretty good note today to make sure that if it goes 2 pips into the wedge to exit the trade from the 5 minute candle close. I'm gonna keep on practicing that and get it. And I'm also gonna check for the 513.62 cross the direction, because I haven't really been doing that. I've just been looking at it, but I haven't really been paying attention to what order they were in. So I think that might add a little bit of confirmation.
It's a lot better. It's a fairly safe, fairly safe is a relative term, I guess, is that when you get all the moving averages on all 3 time frames moving in the right direction. If one of them is out of whack, something's not quite right.
Mm-hmm.
The problem sometimes you run into is by the time you get that confirmation of all of them is already out of the chute, then you have to figure out, then you almost have to wait for another wedge to draw to continue the trend. But usually it's that breakout area that makes it is the hardest to try to determine, because that's where the biggest risk is. And then it's a question of how far where the target's going to be.
Well, 1% is a cheap lesson. So.
And like I say, you're not going. I mean, you can lose All you need is one good trade, and that 1% will be made up pretty quickly if you keep it at 1%. If you, it's
Oh
those
yeah, no.
20% stops that you get. They're the ones that are hard to make up.
Yeah, that's not happening. I messed that one up a couple months back. Never doing that again.
Yeah.
I
One,
was.
yeah.
Go ahead.
The one thing I liked about where we were talking about drawing the box. So
Mhm.
this is basically the range. It came up here, and it did give us. We could have. It wasn't able to break out of it, and so now you're actually able to draw a wedge inside the box. This was the earlier entry here, and by the time it gets down to the A where I say enter on the close, the fact that we had the break here, that we do have a little bit of room between the A and the C. The fact that this is such a steep angle coming up, you have a little bit of extra wiggle room between the bottom of the A, which is at 72.05, to the C, 72. You have a 5 pip spread. So basically, even if it comes down here and it fails to break through that, you could, if it bounces off of this, if you get in up here, you'll get your spread and a couple pips, and say, well, if it can't break here, then just get out of the trade, take a couple pips, and wait for it to come back and maybe test it again. Best case scenario is I'll be in here. It's going to come in here, close, give me a reason to stay in it, as long as I can stay above my moving averages, and then you're looking at, here's your target down here. And it was able to close below the red fib line. I need to get this up here like that. Close below the 1% line of this range.
If I would have seen the channel, Al, the 1 minute channel, I wouldn't have taken the short because it was at the top of the channel. I'm gonna start using the channels a lot more.
You're talking about this channel here?
Sorry, yeah, I wouldn't have taken it long at the top, like the on the 1 minute chart. So I drew a channel from the bottom of the move to the top, and where I entered along was actually at the top of the channel, which is being a dodo.
Now, as this thing's coming down, as you see, here's the hook. This C had a nice hook here. Now we could actually start getting, depending on what this does, if this thing hooks, we could get a divergence here from this. I
see divergence on the other indicator.
You could get divergence here. Reference to here, now you have a lower low with a higher RSI. That could qualify as divergence, and we also have. Let's see, is this a little bit? Now this would be an area where it's almost equal off of this, from this low here to here. Let's see, this one actually had this would be an opposite, no, what's an inverse divergence, I guess they would call it. I'm not sure what the term is when it's the other way around. See how it came right down into that and bounced? Now it's coming up to retest again. And here again, here's our 5 pip area. It came right down to that. It could not even see. I don't think this is going to probably materialize too well to the downside. We'll see how it tests. If it closes above this red line, like this one did, and then I may have to be looking at getting out of this trade. This was the profit area right here. It didn't get me 7 pips. It didn't hit my target, but it did get me profitable. Now the question is, will this wedge hold? We have a little bit of a, right now we've got this moving average is pretty much acting like a trend line. It's respecting this 62. If I look at if I draw a trend line from, well, let's see, if I do well, I really don't have a hit on this. Right now, I'm just letting it see if it's going to respect this 5 minute 62. As long as it does, I'm okay with this.
Got another alert, but I think we're pretty much done. Yeah,
we're pretty much done for the day. It's another Aussie, let's see, New Zealand at 9:45. Same pair that we were looking at earlier, New Zealand. same scenario. And like I said, now that the U.S. market is, we're into the time of the U.S. market, but there's no you're not going to get the volatility. London market's going to start winding down. The Asian market's going to bed. If it's 9:45 here, it's 9:45 at night over in Asia. They're pretty much 12 hours apart for the most part, give or take an hour.
Al,
Yes, Christine.
Jackie sent Beach Panda a DM saying that it is awesome. If Al can tweak that thing for me to make it even better, I'm sending him an Omaha steak box collection. It is working 80% plus success.
All right. Well, good. I like Omaha steaks.
Yeah, I like the barbecue.
What's a Omaha steak?
Oh, those are special order steaks that cost a bunch of money, but I've never had one, but I understand.
Oh, is it like Wagyu beef or whatever you call it?
I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that they're expensive and they're nice. They make nice gifts.
Oh, okay. I guess it
Okay.
must be an
Yeah,
American
it's
thing.
like yeah.
Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I know where it is,
That
but
is
Oh,
some beef
sorry, I
country
didn't
down there.
Did not know you knew, Matt.
Tomahawk steaks, are they?
What?
tomahawk.
Yeah. we've
Tomahawk
got
steaks are
tomahawk.
expensive.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
So, Matt, do you want to check to make sure while let's just kind of call this session done. I'll keep my charts up. Go ahead and check and make sure that Janine and Pedro and Beach Panda, and while you guys are on here, stay on and make sure that it's working. And if it's not, we have the wrong login for you.
All right, let me check.
And put mine on too, so that I can show them what it's going to look like.
Is it the multiple moving average?
Yeah, I'm missing the
that you
multiple.
need?
Yeah, I'm missing the multiple.
Okay, and your username again was?
ACMTRIPL number 7.
Triple 7. Got it.
777. Sounds like
Oh, that's what it means.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, I just added you. Did you see it?
It is.
You'll have to come back in.
Let me have to check it out here and come back in.
Maybe just a little bit of a lag. Let's see.
Is the A capitalized?
Yeah, it finds your username and then automatically types it as you did.
Let me
So,
see. Check it again.
Let me
here.
see.
Favorites. I think it's in my favorites. Let me see here. Invite only.
And let me see the other people's names.
Okay,
Usernames. Beach Panda. Okay. Pretty sure I added. Yeah, you're in there. I see you. I see a picture of a panda.
Beach Panda, yeah, confirm that you see it in yours. You should see it too.
Invite only is where you're going to find it.
Yeah, it's in this little area right down here. Invite only scripts.
And Janine, try yours now.
Yeah, it's just the name with only the J
Oh,
capital.
I have it. I found your profile. I just added it. I just need you to try in the invite only section. See if it works for you.
I'm still not getting mine, I don't think.
No? Okay. I don't know.
Multiple RSI.
No. Okay. It'll come. It's in there. So
And Pedro, double check Pedro.
Pedro. No, I don't have Pedro.
I'll let me put it in the chat for you, or in your. I'll put it in your chat.
Yeah.
2 panelists.
Yeah. Jackie gets in on the close of the 5-minute candle.
Check,
look at that.
Check the chat on this for Pedro's.
I just did.
login.
South Coast for green. Yeah, it doesn't matter what the.
Let's see if I go to a different chart if it makes a difference.
All right.
Yeah, I'm still not
That's
showing
good.
it on mine.
You're not, eh? Okay.
Mm.
Well,
I got the multiple RSI, but I don't have the other one. Now it may be because, oh, you know what? It may be because I've got.
yeah, you have your other one.
Yeah, that's probably what
I remember
the problem
last
is.
time that was a problem
Let me.
because you still have access to the one that
me,
you took off.
Okay, let me try something else here.
Let me see.
Now let me try it on this one. There it is. Okay, yeah. If you, yeah, yeah, I do have it on mine. I had to put it on a screen that didn't have it.
Hmm.
So it should be multiple moving averages, JL, JLIN, and multiple RSI. So if you don't see it, open up a chart without any indicators on it,
Yes.
and then check the invite script and see if that works.
Hey Matt, it's Pedro.
What's up?
I do see the invite only scripts, but I only see the multiple moving averages.
Perfect. That's the only one I added you to right now.
Okay.
I'm doing the other one now.
Oh, okay.
All right. Cool.
That was Pedro. Okay, I'm gonna double check to make sure that I get which ones you have and which ones you don't.
All right. So.
And we have Beach Panda still to. We have to. Beach Panda, are you still there? And can you type in if you see yours?
Confirm. Yeah, you're on both. See, I can show you my here.
So Beach Panda is confirmed.
Yeah, like, look. You can see my screen.
Let me stop sharing.
I already did.
Okay.
These are the people that I authorized.
Let me stop the recording here too, because we're pretty much done with the session here.